Hello everyone, this is part 7 of What If Naruto Left Konoha and Awakens Lava and Boil Release, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Konoha Hospital. Soon had walked the halls of the medical building in Konoha, where the sick could be healed and doctors could be found. She was on her way to check up on Naruto, who had apparently just woken up according to what the nurses told her. She had been afraid he would never wake up from the practical coma he had been in for the past week. With the deadly poison that had run through him, anything was possible. Approaching the correct wing of the hospital, Soon had spied Sakura in her nurse uniform and waved her over, a smile present on the younger girl's face. Tsunade-sama, did you hear that Naruto woke up? Tsunade nodded her head, confirming it. Yes, in fact I was just about to go visit him right now. Would you like to come along? Sakura glanced at the other nurses before nodding and heading off with Tsunade. Getting closer to the blonde's room, Tsunade and Sakura took notice of strange noises coming from its direction. Looking at one another, they both gave a confused look before walking up to the door. Tsunade set her hand on the doorknob and listened in on the door. Now Naruto-koi, I think it's about time we finish this. Somebody might find us. She heard what sounded to be a woman's voice inside the room, her eyes widened. May. I'm almost there, keep going Mayheim. You're the best healer I could have asked for. Hearing Naruto moan out that sentence made her angry, she could tell Sakura was getting angry too. I'm your fiancé. That's my job, right? Tsunade was at her wit's end and bust down the door, coming across two naked people on the bed. May was looking at the door with surprise evident on her face but also a hint of annoyance tugging at her lips while Naruto looked like a deer caught between headlights. He knew he was done for. Sakura came charging into the room and assessed the situation, or more towards just staring at the two in mid-intercourse and Naruto's large piece. She blushed scarlet while she just stared at it in a trance. Oh my, is that really Naruto's? It's so big. How can she handle that thing? How would I handle that thing? Hello. May awkwardly waved at the two, not bothering to cover herself or show any signs of embarrassment. May was a very honest woman and not embarrassed by having herself revealed. Naruto on the other hand was futilely trying to cover himself up with a blanket, panicking over the dangerous situation. I can explain Bar-chan. Tsunade formed a fist with her hand, stalking towards the two Uzumaki. Oh, I bet you can. Why don't you tell me? May raised her voice over Tsunade's, getting both of them out of the hot water. We were just busy restoring the clan. We want a lot of little Uzumaki running around the house. And the sooner we get them, the sooner someone gets grandchildren, right Naruto? Naruto looked up at May, who had been straddling him during their fun time, and smiled, nodding slowly. Nice save, May. Tsunade's eyes widened and she blushed a bit at the thought of being a grandma, slowly edging away from the two. Sakura had finally passed out from blood loss and lay there in a pool of red, going completely unnoticed. Well then, continue with what you were doing. Don't let me stop you. Tsunade smiled big and grabbed Sakura's limp arm before dragging her out with her. As soon as they both had left, the couple looked at one another and wiped the sweat off the brows. That Naruto started was a close one. May finished before resuming her activity of riding Naruto's member. Konoha. Naruto and May stood right outside the hospital, fully dressed and done with the playtime. May looked at Naruto and Naruto looked at May, both smiled. Commence operation, vacation from Kiri. Naruto playfully said, making May giggle. Now you can show me around your old town, Naruto. I would love to meet all your friends too. Naruto had a lackluster smile after that. His home village was really not somewhere he wanted to stay for long. How about we go to the Hokage office first, then we can go check out the training grounds for the rookies. May nodded and settled for holding Naruto's hand as he guided throughout the city. He pointed out all the landmarks he could to the entranced May while walking. She was very curious as to what Konoha was like compared to Kiri. Naruto was glad that no one recognized him any longer. To have any grudges or conflicts come up because of his past with the villagers would not go well with May alongside him. Finally arriving at the Hokage Tower, the two shinobi shunshin to her room and saw her briefing a combined force of Team 8 and 10, their sensei turning towards the new presence immediately. "Ah, look who we have here," Tsunade remarked, causing the rest of the younger shinobi to look behind him to the two Kiri ninja. Naruto stood looking impassively at his old friends with his hands folded across his chest. Mei had a hand on her hip and she was leaning on one leg, trying to assess the people who were her in Naruto's age group. Asuma's cigarette fell out of his mouth after he recognized Naruto and Kurenai's eyes widened, furtively glancing in Hinata's direction. Shino immediately made the distinction of Naruto and nodded slightly but was intrigued as to who the woman was. Kiba stared with wide eyes at both Naruto and his fiancée, a beautiful woman that he wanted to be with like a dog in heat. Ino, Shikamaru and Choji all shared their own surprised faces at the two. Shikamaru whispered something about troublesome blondes. Hinata on the other hand was outright blushing at seeing Naruto again, especially after him growing so much in the past 3 years, but she was a bit jealous to see him arrive with a woman. "Naruto, is that you?" Kiba asked incredulously, earning a nod from the blonde. Naruto now noticed that the majority of them, all but Hinata, wearing his grey Kiri Junin vest and his forehead protector with the Kiri symbol, obviously needing confirmation he had really changed sides. Hinata just continued to stare at his face, unable to form words at the sight before her. "So, you really are a Kiri shinobi?" Shino asked rhetorically, to which Naruto nodded anyway. "Interesting. Whoa. Naruto, is that your weapon?" Choji pointed out the large greatsword on his back and Naruto nodded again, earning more surprised gasps from the Chunin and Junin. Kiba walked up to Naruto and leaned in close to Naruto's ear, careful to keep his voice low. "Hey Naruto, who is she?" Naruto watched Kiba hike a thumb towards Mei, who was watching the private conversation with silent intrigue and amusement. Naruto smirked, he was going to ruin Kiba's 0 chances really quick. "That's my fiancé, idiot." Everyone's eyes widened and Kiba stumbled backwards, just stuttering while pointing his finger back and forth between the two. Mei smiled, moving over to Naruto and looping her arm with his and holding his hand, showing everyone their relationship. Why you're engaged to her?" Kiba all but yelled out, and Naruto and Mei smiled and nodded. Kiba proceeded to faint in complete disbelief. Akamaru knelt down to assist his partner while the others just gave their congratulations. "Nice job Naruto. So troublesome, you always have to make a scene, don't you Naruto?" "Interesting. Wow, I can't believe Naruto got with an older woman, nice. Not bad Naruto. What's her name?" Mei stepped forward a bit, taking a small bow to the shinobi gathered. "My name is Mei Uzumaki and I am the 5th Mizukage of Kirigakure." Everyone was surprised to hear that Naruto was marrying an Uzumaki and Kage. "It is good to meet you, Mizukage-sama." All the Konoha shinobi bowed slightly to her in respect. She waved her hand lazily, not keen on the whole respect thing from the Konoha shinobi. "Don't mention it, we just came by so Naruto could show me all his old friends. I must say, you are all very interesting." Everyone began to have small talk with each other while Hinata just smiled sadly. Her Naruto had been taken away from her. "I was too late." She felt pained tears come to her eyes and looked down to hide them when she felt a reassuring hand on her shoulder from Kurenai, who just gave the girl a rueful smile. "I'm sorry Hinata." Wiping her eyes clear, Hinata smiled at her sensei. "It's fine Kurenai-sensei, he looks happy. In the end, that's all I really want to see, his wonderful smile. I will not forget what he taught me and I will strive to continue being stronger, even if he will not be by my side." Kurenai smiled at her little rookie. "Hinata, you have grown so much." She glanced at Naruto. "And he is the reason behind it all, even if he probably doesn't know." "Alright, I think you all have your assignments and I think Mei is getting a bit smothered. You may all see Naruto later before he leaves to go back to Kiri." Tsunade ordered the ninja to clear out, to which they did reluctantly, leaving 4 ninja in the room now. Kakashi had just arrived through the window. "Ah Naruto, you're up I see." Kakashi greeted Naruto with a wave. He turned towards Mei. "Mizukage-sama." He inclined his head in an informal bow and received a simple wave of indifference. "Yes, I was thinking that Mei and myself could get some sparring in before we head home. She can't be gone for too long since she is the Mizukage after all." Tsunade nodded, understanding their situation. "Alright, I'm sure you remember where the training grounds are Naruto. Go enjoy yourselves and tell me when you're leaving. I'd like to at least say goodbye. Naruto nodded and grabbed Mei's hand before departing, leaving Kakashi and Tsunade alone. Tsunade swiveled her chair to face the copy ninja and could already tell that his mission was a failure. Kakashi could see what he thought to be disappointment and looked away, shamed that he was unable to find Danzo. I'm sorry Hokage-sama, but I was unable to find any trace of Danzo. My hounds think he was headed for a Megacore, but I'm not positive. I want to trust them, but the question is why he would want to go to a Megacore. Tsunade finished, remembering rumors of the civil unrest and turmoil in the industrial country. She didn't understand what Danzo wished to gain from going there. Do you have any idea, Hokage? Kakashi asked, hoping the older woman would have more knowledge of it than he. Tsunade got up out of her chair and went to the window, looking out at the village with her hands clasped behind her back. Her eyes were squinted in quiet concentration until they relaxed suddenly, her arms fell limp to her sides. Quote. Not a clue. Konoha training grounds. And this is my old stomping grounds, training ground 7. That was my old team, Team 7. Naruto had brought Mei to the place where he first became a genin and his team was made official. Naruto took in a breath of fresh air and looked at his surroundings. He noticed that not much at all had changed in the 3 years he had been away. Mei was looking around in wonder and curiosity, glad to finally see Naruto's past and what made him into what was brought before her 3 years ago. Squeezing her hand, Naruto led Mei over to the 3 wooden stumps that served as his punishment for failing the test. Right here is where my sensei tied me up for failure to get the bells that were part of our genin test. I had to go without lunch. It was really horrible. Mei giggled and patted Naruto on the head, kissing his cheek. Or, my poor little baby, was Kakashi really that mean? Naruto looked at the stump with reverence, receiving an onset of memories of the day. Yeah, he really showed us the distinction of teacher and student, the level we were at and the level we could one day reach. At the time, I really didn't think about any of that kind of stuff, I just wanted to be a cool ninja. What a fool I was. Mei smiled a bit, squeezing his hand. Many children dream of becoming shinobi, Naruto. Only those with the drive and strength to do so end up becoming part of the ninja corps. You were strong to continue fighting for what you wanted even through adversity. Myself. Mei released his hand and took a few steps forward, looking down at the ground to collect her thoughts. I at first didn't want to be a shinobi. When I heard of the Uzumaki history and just how bloody our clan was known for being, I was afraid to become what my ancestors had. My father, while much more compassionate than most pure-blood fathers, subtly urged me to become a ninja and follow in the footsteps of our family. My mother said to do what I thought was right. She was always on my side when an argument came up. Mei smiled at the memories of her parents, the time for remembrance getting the better of her. Naruto walked to her and slung an arm around her shoulders, bringing her attention to the smiling blonde. Your parents sound like wonderful people, so why did you choose to become the future Mizukage? Naruto asked with a certain haughty undertone added to her esteemed position, earning a playful slap from Mei. The massacres, she finally whispered with a frown, her head bowed down in sorrow. Naruto immediately frowned after hearing her and tightened his grip around her waist, bringing her close to him. I'm sorry, you don't, he was cut off by a wave from Mei, who was dead set on telling him the story. No, there is nothing you should be sorry about. It is something dark that happened in Kiri's history that needs to be retold, and I could use someone to talk to about it. It's been so long, but Mei's mental barriers began to fall, the horrid memories of what happened to her late family brought to the surface. When Mei fell to her knees in pure anguish, it brought Naruto down as well. He could not bear to see his the love his life in so much pain and unable to do anything about it. Softly taking both her trembling hands into his own, he looked into her puffy and teary eyes intent on letting her know that he was here, that she no longer had to be alone. Mei, I cannot take back what has happened to your family, no matter how much I wish I could. But, I want you to know that you don't have to be alone with the memories. I can be there with you, to shoulder them and take the burden from your shoulders, if it would continue to make you smile. Please Mei, please stop crying. Naruto pleaded with her, trying his best to help her through the new influx of sheer angst and pain that it would make anyone feel. Stifling her quiet sobs, Mei had listened purely enraptured by Naruto's promise. The chance to share the painful memories and stop leaving herself so vulnerable was so appealing, she no longer wanted to feel empty as she walked the halls of her estate. She no longer wanted to feel alone. Maybe that's why I always wanted children. She idly mused. Seeing that her fiancé was waiting for an answer, she squeezed his hands and smiled. Quote. Thank you Naruto Koi, I no longer want to feel lonely like have for so long. To think of the massacre is painful but, as long as you are here beside me, I am willing to tell the tale. Naruto smiled and pulled himself up and without a word, whisked Mei away to a nearby tree and sat down with his back against it. Leading her down, she now lay between his legs with her own arms entangled around Naruto's arms. All right Mei, whenever you are ready. Mei smiled and took a relaxing breath before talking again. Well, I suppose it began when I was 16. At that point, the Uzukiri conflict was a thing of the past and a new, peaceful Mizukage had been elected. His name was Yagura, and he was also the Three Tails Jinchuriki. Contrary to Konoha, Kiri had no qualms against the Three Tails, so Yagura was well received. His benevolence led our citizens to become very prosperous, and any remaining problems for the Uzumaki to fit in were taken care of. Yagura respected and sympathized with our clan as well. Naruto was glad to hear that not all villages were against Jinchuriki and happy his clan was well received. Madara had been overthrown from his position as third Mizukage a few years after the war ended. The people had gotten tired of his constant campaigns of war against Konoha, and, first Izu then the world, the people were ready for peace. After that, everything was peaceful, but it could never stay that way for long. Bitter over his loss of power, Madara played one final trick on Kiri that would haunt the people for the rest of time. The massacres, Naruto said, confirmed by a nod. By using his Sharingan abilities, Madara somehow overcame the mental defenses Yagura had and controlled him as his own, or at least, this is what most conspiracy theorists believe. Sensing the people could be roused with a scapegoat of sorts, Madara began to wreak havoc on the everyday lives of Kiri citizens. Ninja patrols would disappear, boats would be sunk at sea or in harbor, buildings would be destroyed. These little things added up to create much apprehension in the civilians. Having his excuse, the controlled Yagura told everyone that the Uzumaki were the cause of the problems, still angry over the loss of their war against Kiri. Word spread around and eventually all bloodline clans were hated, the members verbally or sometimes physically assaulted whenever they walked the streets. It was madness. Naruto was shocked. How could something like that happen so quickly? But Mei, if Yagura was known to be benevolent and a supporter of the Uzumaki, wouldn't someone have gotten suspicious of his new behavior? Mei smiled a bit at Naruto's intuition but shook her head. The clans noticed, it was quite obvious something was off with the Mizukage, but the commoners would not listen to reason. The simpletons had seen all they needed to see so far in Yagura's golden age, that they were willing to listen to anything he said when it came to conflict, and we became the victims of a cruel Uchiha exile. Eventually Yagura came out with the simple rules of engagement: you leave your compound, your safety isn't guaranteed, that's how. How. Naruto tightened his grip on Mei when she began to shake and sob uncontrollably, her tears strolling down her cheek in droves. That's how. Mother died. All she did was go and get groceries, and they cut her down like she was an animal. The Kiri shinobi were monsters, laughing at her as she tried to crawl back towards the safety of the compound gates. Their kunai and fists were slick with Uzumaki blood and no one was going to do anything about it. My father told me to wait in my room while he went down and gathered my dying mother in his arms before forever closing the compound gate, not allowing anyone else to leave. She wasn't even able to say goodbye. I wasn't. Damn Madara. Damn him. Naruto just held onto her, whispering quiet encouragement into her ear, trying to calm the woman down. I am so sorry, Mayheim. He petted her hair, moving his hand through the long red locks. I'm sorry. I thought I had gotten over my anger, but I suppose there was still some there. She tried to joke but just sighed from the sad attempt. Well, after my mother passed away, my father became increasingly irritable towards outsiders and outright refused to meet with anyone to solve the massacre problem. He was afraid of losing someone again, no one could go through it a second time. He began to teach me self-defense and simple shinobi arts. He said it was so I could protect myself. At first, I had been so adamant against it that I threatened to run away, but then he slapped me. Told me that if I continued living in a dream, a pacifist's world in my situation, that I would not live very long. So that was how he convinced me to start on the path of reaching Mizukage. Naruto smiled a bit at that, glad that she had agreed to learn to be a shinobi. Actually, if he had not taught me how to fight, I would not be alive any longer. For when the massacres reached their zenith, Yagura implemented the most bloody and dangerous act of his entire reign, the bloodline purge. This was when the massacre truly became a massacre. The Mizukage organized the Kiri hunter groups and gave them a clan. They were to use any resources necessary to eliminate their particular clan target. At this point, people were finally starting to sympathize with us and many called for an end for the killings, but they went unheard of by Yagura, whose only focus was finishing off the clans. After the Kaguya clan decided to wage war on all of Kiri instead of just the ninja corps, we lost all support from normal citizenry. When the hunter ninja finally arrived at our estate, my father turned into a machine. I had never seen him so focused. He was yelling out orders and taking charge of the entire situation. He led the men against the hunters at the gates while the women and children fled to the lower levels, the estate, well hidden and built since the troubles had first began. Since I had ninja training, I was one of the group's escorts, protecting them from any hunter that might get past. And of course, it was my luck that one did get past. It was the first time I had fought someone else with the intention of killing me, and it was the first time I killed someone. Mei whispered the last sentence quietly, leaving an ominous setting to the conversation. What happened? Naruto was curious. He came out of a wall and elbowed me right in the face. I fell backwards and stumbled into a wall, leaving myself completely vulnerable. Some of the braver escorts came to my aid and battled the hunter, but in the confined space it was no use and they were quickly cut down. I ordered all the women and children to continue to run to the shelter and stood defiant in the hunter's path. I would die before he took a step in the direction. Forming the appropriate hand sign, I remembered my father's lesson on boil release, to which until that day I had too much trouble understanding it and had yet to complete the acidic mist technique. Praying to every god I knew, I launched the mist out of my mouth and in panic turned the acidity up as high as I could manage. At first, the man believed I had done nothing and continued to stalk towards me. Soon after the jutsu had been brought forth, however, was when he finally released. Something was wrong. He was losing, dying. I watched with an odd sense of satisfaction as he melted right before my eyes. I will never get his screams nor the way his mask painfully melded with his face as he just turned into goo. Naruto was a bit unnerved by her way of describing his death, but just accepted the fact that he had done the same to others as well. Following that encounter, I continued on to try and catch up with the others when I felt the earth begin to shake. At first I believed it to be a symptom of the battle above me and continued on, but then I realized that the tremors were getting stronger and stronger the more I approached the underground shelter. Arriving at the door, I found it thrown off of its hinges and began to panic, fearing the worst. Entering the room was the last thing I should have done, but I had to know that there was nothing I could have done. They died? Naruto asked, completely surprised by the outcome. Mei didn't say anything, instead she shifted uncomfortably in his grasp. They had been slaughtered, every single one of them. Not even the children had been spared from that bastard. Madara Uchiha himself was the one who finished off the Terumi branch. I saw him with my own eyes. He stood in the middle of them all, their faces looking at him with surprise and fear, but he only looked at me with a smile. He said nothing, and the only thing I remembered past that was a flash of his Sharingan activating and nothing. When I awoke, I was in another clan's care, one that had been mysteriously spared, no doubt because of the non-existent bloodline. They told me my entire family had perished in the slaughter and that I was the only one left. From that day onward, I promised myself that I would not ever again show weakness on my part and dove into my personal training of becoming a kunoichi. Since that day, I have been alone. You aren't anymore, Mei, you have me, remember. Mei looked up into his blue eyes and smiled, nodding to herself. You're right, I do have you. And in the end, that's all I ever wanted. You were a gift from above. With you my life has been given new meaning and I now have a purpose. The two lovers kissed, sealing their trust in one another. Getting up, Mei stretched out her aching back and turned around to see Naruto doing the same. Feeling her stomach growl, Mei decided to ask Naruto about Konoha's restaurants. So Naruto, is there anything good to eat around here? Naruto looked at Mei curiously before tapping his chin in thought. Duh, how could I ever forget? Snapping his fingers, Naruto wickedly smiled and rubbed his hands together, already imagining his wonderful meal of hot, steaming ramen. I know just the place, Mayheim. Konoha, Ichiraku Ramen. Ayami Nichan. Tsuki-san. I need 10 bowls of pork ramen and a nice bowl of shrimp ramen for the lady. The couple walked into the stand hand in hand and Naruto was practically dying to have some good Ichiraku ramen. Suddenly a ladle hit him on the head and he fell to the ground with a big bruise on his head, courtesy of a pissed-off Ayami. Mei tended to her fiancé and openly glared at the young woman who looked down at them with little pity. Only Naruto-kun can call me that, so don't even bother, it's because of monsters like you that he left. Naruto slowly stood up with Mei's help, smiled at Ayami who was finally taking in his appearance. You already forgot what I look like, Ayami Nichan. Her eyes widened when she realized that this was Naruto in the flesh, not some imposter trying to play a mean trick. Leaping over the counter, she brought Naruto into a loving hug and cried into his chest. The action surprised the blonde. Naruto, where did you go? I thought we lost you forever. Don't do it again or else you'll get worse than the ladle, understand? Naruto just nodded and patted the crying girl on the back. Hey, just because I live in another village doesn't mean I can't come and visit. In fact, Naruto took off one of his gloves and pressed his hand on the stool he had sat in every time he had eaten there. Ayami was confused until she saw a seal slip off his hand and attach itself to the stool, disappearing soon after. Now I can come visit anytime for a nice meal of ramen, how does that sound? It sounds great. Now then, time for that order. Ayami happily went back around the counter and began fixing his food while humming a happy tune. Mei sat down on the stool next to Naruto and smiled at him, making him look at her curiously. What is it, Mei-heim? Ayami looked up from her work, curious as to the affectionate nickname. Oh, nothing, Naruto-kun. Just wondering why you were so touchy and feely with Ayami-chan here. Naruto gulped as he noticed the ominous tone of Mei's voice and her widening smile. He was on the fence right now. I used to eat here all the time when I was young. Ayami and her old man became the only family I really had. I can only imagine how much it hurt when I just disappeared on them. You don't have to worry about me being with other girls, you are my only one, Mei-heim, I promise. Mei just kept smiling and took his hand in her own, idly playing with his fingers while waiting for their meal. That's good, because if you did bring another girl home, I would have to melt her and your balls. Understood, Naruto. Naruto nodded vigorously and Ayami ducked her head down further behind the counter, now trying to get the thought of dating Naruto out of her mind. Damn it, the good ones are always taken. He may have been a shorty when he was young, but he was always cute, and now that he's back he has a damn girlfriend. TCH. Eat up, Naruto. Mei and Naruto received their meals and began to dig in while Ayami just watched them and joined in on their small talk. Hey Ayami, where is the old man? Ayami set her washcloth down and fixed her messy hair, trying to smooth it back down. He's out sick today, probably just felt lazy or something. I'm here alone for right now until we close up at around 4 o'clock. Naruto frowned a bit. He wanted to announce the marriage with him being here, but now it wasn't going to happen. Well, Naruto reached into his bag and fished out a card, a wedding invitation. Mei-heim and I have been working on cards for our wedding, so can you give this to him when he gets back? I'd like both of you to attend, it would be a great honor. Ayami nodded and took the invitation, her brain not yet registering what had just been said. Naruto paid for the two of them and they both left for a little bit more exploring of Konoha before they decided to leave. Yeah, sure, I'll give this to him. Ayami mumbled to herself, placing the invitation on a clean spot on the counter. Getting ready to wash the dishes, her brain finally caught up with Naruto's last words and her mouth started stuttering silent syllables of surprise. Wedding. Konoha, abandoned residential district. Naruto and Mei walked up a series of staircases to get to Naruto's old apartment. He was amazed it still stood. Actually, he really didn't want to come back and reopen the old wounds, but Mei insisted that she see all his past, so here they were. Here we are. This is my old apartment building, I wonder if anything has changed. Naruto said quietly, enraptured by returning to his roots. Looking over to Mei, he saw her staring at the door with horrified eyes, her hands visibly shaking. Confused, Naruto looked back at the door they were in front of and examined it more closely, and upon doing so found his mistake. After putting up with the abuse and hatred of the villagers for so long, he had gained the ability of tuning out their harsh actions and words against him. Mei had no such defense. His door was littered with graffiti writing and pocket-marked with holes and burn marks. The hateful things said about him obviously roused Mei's sadness and anger. I'm sorry. I had hoped you wouldn't have to see something like this, Naruto sadly admitted. However, he knew that this was something he had to revisit to finally move on. They really mean all these things. Dead demon, the Nine Tails is dead, they really believed you were the monster? Mei asked quietly, seeming to be in denial of Konoha's actions. Yes, was all Naruto said. It was all he could say. If he were a few years younger and had never left Konoha, he would blatantly deny the village's involvement and just blame it on traveling vandals, or something. But not anymore. He could not lie to himself or Mei about something like this. It was the sad truth. I can't believe it. How could they be so cruel? They were afraid. Few knew of what the Yondaime did to defeat Kyuubi, and even fewer truly knew how the seal worked. They all believed I was the Kyuubi in human form, and I was hated for it. Mei looked at him with such sadness, even pity. I don't want your pity, Mei. What happened has happened. It's best that we both just accept it and move on, Naruto announced rather harshly, pushing open what was left of the door and striding into his old apartment. Mei calmed herself and realized just what Naruto had said. It was true that she felt sorry for Naruto, who couldn't. He has grown so much since then, but inside, he still is the lonely little boy. I have to be there for him as he was for me. Walking into the apartment, both took notice that all the inside was marked with soot and charred remains of furniture still remained. They had burned the inside of his apartment as if it was tainted. Naruto once again thanked his younger self for taking all of his belongings with him as he sifted through what was left, trying to remember where everything once was. I never really had anything special. Everything that was important to me I brought along. This was where the couch was. My bed was right in there, and it's also where I found most of my parents' inheritance. Wow. I really don't like being here. It just feels so awkward. I feel like I just got pulled back to a place that I tried so hard to escape from. I don't know, maybe I'm just going crazy or something. Mei walked up to him and held his face with both of her hands cupping his cheeks. She smiled softly at his sad attempt of denying his feelings. Naruto, you don't have to lie to me or yourself. Just like I did not want to talk of the massacres, you do not want to talk about your past, you don't want to relive it. I'm here for you, we trust one another with these things, you can cry with me and I can shoulder your burden just as you have done the same for me. What you said is right, I am no longer alone, and neither are you. Naruto just wanted to deny the ugly truth of her statement, say he was fine and that he thought it was time they left. But he just couldn't. He didn't want to keep living with the feelings he had whenever he thought of his past in Konoha. Naruto couldn't think of how to start. He didn't know what to say. Is this how Mei felt? Start from the beginning, Naruto. I will listen to your story. And so Naruto did tell her his past, and she listened. She listened when no one else would. Konoha Forest. You all know the mission and details, right? Yamato asked his two subordinates, Sai and Sakura. Both nodded. Their mission brief back in Konoha illuminated what the plan was. They were to head to river country through grass and inspect the suspected area of where Naruto first fought the Akatsuki, and to try and recover any further evidence that could improve relations with Kiri and Konoha. Tsunade wished to form an alliance with Mei's country, but Kiri's hesitation was understandable. They needed something tangible to truly strike a deal with Water Country, and their mission was imperative to the Nation of Fire. Konoha, Village Gate. After a heartfelt day where both lovers entrusted not just their minds but emotions to one another, the two shinobi were ready to go back home and take a nice bath back at the estate. Tsunade stood alongside Kakashi to say goodbye to the two, wishing them well on their travels. See ya, Bar-chan. I'll be back next month for sure. Naruto called over his shoulder as he began to walk away, waiting for Mei to finish her goodbyes. Seeing she was being left behind, Mei sufficed with a simple wave and ran to catch up to Naruto. They began to jump through the trees, intent on arriving in Kiri as quickly as possible. Their trip was silent and peaceful as the sun descended below the horizon, but things were becoming very loud in Kiri. Kirigakure, prison. Kyo sat in a room that he had been dragged off to by the burly guards. Apparently someone wanted to see him. He had thought they had forgotten about him after the Mizukage had him tried and arrested. She was a true tyrant. If only the people could see that Yagura was right in killing off the Uzumaki and the clans then. His thoughts were interrupted when the person that called the meeting entered. His eyes widened a bit in surprise when he saw it to be one of fellow councilmen. He sat on the other side of a table from Kyo, as directed by the guards. What do you want? Why have you come here? To laugh? To tell me that the Mizukage was right to imprison me and that you are working on having me executed just because I spoke the truth? He raised his voice slowly throughout his rant, finishing it by slamming his fists onto the table in anger. The guards moved to control him, but the other councilman just waved him off. No. I came here to ask for your help. We are becoming what we no longer wish to be, and it is because of the people in charge that this has happened. All I ask is that when you are released, you promise to help us. Kyo was intrigued but suspicious of the vague offer. What exactly was the man trying to get at? Speak plain, what kind of help? Help rectifying the problem, of course. Country, outskirts. Danzo and his men had arrived at the designated meeting spot, sitting in the rain with no sight of their informant. They were to meet the leader of Akatsuki apparently and try to get into a contract or alliance as he had with Orochimaru before. Sir, are you sure he is coming? Danzo looked to the man who asked with veiled annoyance. Patience was lost on the younger generation, even his root were not immune to it. Yes, have patience. He should be. Danzo was interrupted when a masked man in an Akatsuki robe arrived in front of them, causing the root to form a defensive formation around their leader. Danzo, you have a lot of nerve trying to contact me. If pain had come in my place, you would be dead. You are a lucky man. Now, what the hell do you want? The masked man asked, speaking very plainly with the Konoha runaway. I wish to strike an alliance with. He was once again interrupted by a fit of laughter from the man in front of him, causing his anger and his men's level of tolerance to rise. Show respect to Danzo SA. A root operative was stopped from yelling when he was backhanded by an irate Toby. Maybe you should learn that there are others that need respect more than your Danzo-sama. He turned to face Danzo, completely unreadable behind the orange mask. Now what could you give me a reason to listen to you and your alliance talk? Danzo smiled a bit. I can help you get the jinchuriki, the 9 tails. Konoha Forest. Naruto was jumping through the trees, followed closely by Mei. As soon as he hit the next branch with his feet, he gripped his head from a sudden feeling of a dual alertness. Someone threw one of my kunai, but who? Mei noticed Naruto was no longer moving and went to his side, moving her hand to his temple and gently rubbing it. What is it, Naruto? A bad headache, she teased, not knowing that something was very seriously wrong. Someone threw my kunai, someone is in trouble. I have to go, Mei-heim. Mei was unable to say anything more when he quickly made a shadow clone and disappeared in a yellow flash. Mei looked at the shadow clone, confusion evident in her gaze to it. The Naruto clone shrugged and scratched his head nervously, not sure of what to say. Boss gave me the order of getting you back to Kiri unharmed, and that's what I plan on doing. Let's go, Mei-heim. Mei hesitantly allowed herself to be led away by the clone, now having lost her Naruto so soon a second time. Please come back to me, Naruto. Grass country, forest clearing. Naruto arrived in a bright yellow flash, his broadsword in his hands and ready to fight. He looked up and saw a tree, his kunai embedded deep within it, as if someone threw it from desperation. He looked around but saw no one. The battle had obviously been here, however. The ground was marked with holes and craters while numerous trees were knocked down. Hearing the faint sounds of battle, Naruto began to run towards the sound of battle. Jumping through the trees, he felt the earth shake again and looked up to see a large explosion of smoke and ash push up into the sky. Forcing himself to move quicker, he decided that it must be Sakura who had called for him and not Gaara. Jumping past the last tree, Naruto came across the scene of battle and his focus was first brought to the pink head of Sakura. She was on the ground, beaten and bloodied by someone, and her mouth and eyes were wide open in terror towards someone Naruto was not looking at. Yamato was panting heavily while holding his side, also looking in the same direction with anger. Finally swiveling his head towards the fight, Naruto's eyes widened when he saw the perpetrator of the damage. Sai was impaled on a long katana. The weapon was being wielded by none other than the missing member of Team 7, Sasuke Uchiha. His face was emotionless while Sai's was one of surprise. Orochimaru and Kabuto stood off to the side, both were full of glee and smirking at the carnage. Sasuke looked up to the tree where Naruto stood and his eyes widened ever so slightly at the sight of his Kiri Junin attire, not exactly understanding what was going on. Naruto. he said without emotion. It made everyone look up to the tree. Sakura could not smile, but her eyes told everyone of her joy to see Naruto, silently whispering his name. Sasuke. Naruto's body began to tremble with emotion, his muscles flexed in anticipation. Grass country, forest clearing. Naruto. The two rivals could see no one but each other, one was curious while the other was silently fuming. Sasuke. The blonde simply noted, not bothering to honor the traitor with conversation. Not being able to take it anymore, Sakura got to her feet and ran towards Naruto. Naruto-kun. Her tears were stinging reminders of just what Sasuke had put her through here. Naruto-kun. This is different. Sasuke thought to himself, curious as to what happened while he was away. Naruto caught Sakura and hugged her, bringing the medic close to him in an effort to comfort and protect her. It's alright Sakura, I'm going to get you out of here. Without another word, Naruto created two shadow clones and had both escort Yamato and Sakura away from the battlefield. But, wait Naruto, I thought that you were. The pink-haired girl was cut off when Yamato knocked her out with a small hit to the back of her neck, silencing her pleas. Good luck Naruto, I believe this is your fight more than anyone else. The wood user said before he disappeared with the two shadow clones and an unconscious Sakura. Sai began to melt into an inky substance, leaving Sasuke to have a free sword to fight with. Naruto could only guess that Sai was able to get away and now it would be his fight alone with the three. Ha. This is quite an interesting turn of events. Kabuto, would you be a dear and go stop the leaf shinobi from getting away? We can't let anyone find out of our activities here. Kabuto nodded and before Naruto could move to stop him, disappeared from sight. Damn. Naruto muttered, he would have to make this fight quick so he could go help the leaf shinobi. And now I think I will let you two fight it out. I will be back at our hideout Sasuke, return when you have defeated the annoyance. Sasuke just snorted before wiping his blade clean of the remaining ink that still contaminated the sword. Orochimaru then disappeared into the forest, something Naruto was silently thankful for. Before this one-sided battle starts, why don't you tell me why you wear a Kiri uniform? Did you start worshipping that weakling Zabuza after I left, because that sword looks like a complete rip-off? Sasuke taunted Naruto who was keeping his anger in check, barely. No, actually I left Konoha for Kiri. Sasuke's eyes widened a bit at that, that had been his first guess actually. What a hypocrite, you tell me that you would never betray Konoha like I did and now look at you, an enemy of our old comrades. I suppose you intend to bring me back, at least for Sakura's sake. Naruto began to smirk at that, his hands shifting the blade around in his palms. No, I've known for a long time that you were beyond saving. I intend to rid the world of the blight that is, the Uchiha. Naruto shunshined forward, closing the distance in less than a second. Sasuke brought up his katana to block the aggressive slice, sparks flew as the two swords impacted. Naruto's mouth began to build up as if he was breathing in air and Sasuke knew that he was about to try something. His Sharingan whirling as he tracked Naruto's chakra, the brunette avoided the would-be headshot from the blonde's lava bullet. Lava. What is this from? Where the hell did you learn something like that, Dobe? Sasuke ground out, lightly panting from his quick sidestep of the attack. Naruto dug his greatsword out of the ground where it had landed from Sasuke's sudden dislodge from their fight. He prepared himself in another aggressive sword stance and glared at his old teammate. Uzumaki bloodline, something you will never have or learn with those infernal eyes. Sasuke's eyes narrowed at the boy's insult of his clan's Kekkei Genkai, even insinuating that his own blood trait was better than his own. What are you trying to say, huh Naruto? Are you telling me that your bloodline is better than mine? Naruto smirked, slamming his sword into the ground before going through a series of hand signs. That's exactly what I'm telling you Uchiha. A spoiled brat like you could never fully realize the real potential of your bloodline and use it for a good cause, but not everyone's perfect I suppose. What series of hand signs is this? I've never seen some of these hand seals in combination before, can my Sharingan really not copy this? Let's see that wonderful Sharingan of yours track this, lava release, crimson precipitation. Naruto slammed both his hands onto the ground and Sasuke could feel a large tremor that threatened to break his bones if he stood on the ground any longer. From the ground shot geysers of hot magma, the spurts of molasses fire shot into the air and formed dangerous raindrops of flames that fell on the battlefield. Naruto stood amongst the worst of the red ramen, the thick precipitation harmlessly touching his person and dripping down to the ground only to melt the dirt at the blonde's feet. Sasuke dropped from the tree he had jumped to as it burst into flames, moving through the cover of the tree line and doing his best to dodge the dangerous attack. Even with his great speed and Sharingan abilities, Sasuke could not deflect all of the droplets and soon his entire outfit was littered with holes and burn marks. Naruto broke into a run to finish the troubled Uchiha and threw a three-pronged kunai at Sasuke, who was easily able to dodge the large object compared to Naruto's jutsu. However, before he knew what was happening, his arms had been pulled behind his back and his sword arm was forced to release his katana. Now unable to move, Sasuke was pelted with the lava which began to agonizingly melt the young Avenger. Sensing no other way out of his predicament, Sasuke willed the curse mark to appear and allowed the new skin and appendages to form over his body. It gave him some relief and a shield from the rain. Naruto had not seen this before and immediately released Sasuke, but not before using the gathered chakra in his foot to take hold of Sasuke's katana and flinging it away from their fight. The sword was impaled into a tree, leaving Sasuke even further downhill in the admittedly one-sided battle. Damn you. It's time to really begin this fight, Naruto. Sasuke went through a few quick hand signs before grasping his wrist. A familiar sound of chirping birds was heard from the collection of white chakra. Naruto remembered the technique and gathered up his own for a Rasengan, charging towards the other teen who was apparently still building up his attack. Still fueled by emotions, Sasuke. I had hoped you would learn to not rely on the curse mark, but I suppose it was inevitable. Sasuke charged towards the blonde but did not reach out his hand to meet Naruto's attack, instead moving under Naruto's outstretched hand and making a dash for his katana. Naruto stumbled forward and turned his head to find Sasuke about to reach his sword, the rain no longer affecting his mobility. Looks like I'll have to try something else, Naruto said to himself as he went through a sequence of hand signs, his lungs taking in a deep breath. Fire release, combustion ash cloud. A smog of ash came out of Naruto's opened mouth and flooded the area in front of him, hiding Sasuke in the fog. Naruto clicked his teeth just as Sasuke grabbed his sword, freeing it from the tree as if it was a knife cutting through butter. The explosion enveloped the cloud in front of Naruto, who stood undaunted by the large heat release. Just as he had thought Sasuke was dead, a small log came flying out of the smoke, revealing to Naruto that he had not defeated the other teen yet. Damn. Substitution. Feeling an incoming presence, Naruto twisted his sword arm and parried a lightning-quick strike from Sasuke, who appeared behind him. His katana had been aimed right at Naruto's kidney. Both were shaking from the sheer brunt of power they were deflecting from one another, and both were glaring at the other with thoughts on what it would take to kill the other. Sasuke's eyes widened when his sword at first failed to break through Naruto's own. He knew that even large swords were mere appetizers to lightning-enhanced weapons. He was tired and damaged from the fight, but it could not stop his fear when his Sharingan saw multiple glyphs and seals light up on Naruto's sword as his own chakra faded away. Containment seals. Where the hell did he learn these techniques? Jumping away from his enemy, Sasuke prepared one last attack for Naruto, as did he. Sasuke made the largest Chidori he could muster and Naruto created two, remembering his last encounter with Sasuke at the Valley of the End. Naruto. Sasuke. Building up an unnoticeable chakra cloak from Kyuubi's power, Naruto was confident in his attack and launched himself towards his rival. Sasuke also charged with Chidori, confident that even with the previous actions of the fight that he could still beat Naruto. Naruto slammed his first Rasengan into Sasuke's Chidori before launching the second quickly at Sasuke's stomach, successfully hitting the boy. Naruto's first Rasengan was blasted straight through by Sasuke's Chidori and the attack grazed the blonde's left shoulder. The shock wave of the blasts and attacks sent both combatants lurching backwards through the forest, landing very far from each other. Naruto impacted a tree, hard. His body almost went completely through it before he slowly slumped into unconsciousness from the sheer force of the move. Sasuke went through a tree and landed on the banks of a river, slowly sliding further into the murky water to where he would assuredly drown in his sleeping state. A red-haired elderly man came across the smoking body of Naruto and picked the boy up over his shoulder. He turned around to look in the direction of where the battle took place and where Sasuke had been shot towards. He then glanced up to see the seemingly endless red rain taper off. Yonbi, are you sure this is the one? Yes, Roshi, this boy is the one that used the lava release. He also contains my brother, the Kyuubi. Looks like he might need a little help. Ha ha ha. Aloud, Boisterous voice boomed in the older man's head, sounding mighty yet wizened. The Iwanin shrugged and began to walk off towards the nearby cave that had sheltered him the past few days, wondering if his life was about to get a little too exciting. Kirigakure, Uzumaki Terumi Estate. May awoke from her slumber that she had been in since she had arrived yesterday, feeling relieved but somewhat queasy. Rubbing her stomach in an effort to calm it down, she felt the sudden urge to puke and ran for the bathroom where she released her non-existent breakfast. Wiping her mouth with a towel and placing it in the washer, May racked her brain as to why for the past few days she had been feeling so sick in the morning. Well, I did visit another country. Maybe there was a disease there that I contracted, dirty fire civilians probably. May scoffed at the thought. Naruto would have gotten sick as well, or at least she hoped. She had little trouble once she had arrived back from Konoha after a week. The people had not noticed and the council was strangely quiet about her unexpected leave. She had justified it as looking out for a fellow Kiri shinobi, but even so, she had expected the council to put up some fuss. Oh well, maybe they are finally realizing that I can be a leader and just giving me free rein to do my duty. Finishing with her wardrobe for today, May walked down the steps to the front door and passed by the guards at the gate. She decided that she would go to the doctor to make sure that there was nothing wrong and that she could continue her job without fail. Arriving at the tall, spiral-shaped building with a medical cross imprinted at the top of its white length, May walked in and found the place to be quiet. The receptionist immediately realized her rank and had her go to a room already prepared and alerted the Mizukage that a doctor was on her way. Sitting in the room was boring but gave May more time to ponder just what it could be that ailed her so much. The doctor, a red-haired woman with grey eyes, soon walked through the door and greeted the Mizukage with an informal bow. Hello Mizukage-sama, what brings you to the clinic today? May smiled and told the woman of her nauseous feelings and also how she commonly had felt more fatigued than usual. I'm not sure what it could be, although I do have a guess. She didn't even want to say what she thought, the idea was too absurd. The doctor smiled and went through a few hand signs. Her hands began to glow a faint green and they glided over May's skin with practiced precision. May absently noted that the hands lingered a few more seconds than usual over her stomach, something that brought her closer to the impossible alternative. The doctor was barely able to keep back a smirk as she pulled away. Her face was unreadable, which only unnerved May even more. Well, doctor, did you find what was wrong? From what I can tell, you are physically healthy. Everything checks out as normal and in theory there is nothing that should make you feel this way except. The doctor paused for a teasing dramatic effect. Except, May repeated, getting tired of the game. Mizukage-sama, I am happy to tell you that you are pregnant. Congratulations. May's eyes widened and her mouth gaped open. She was pregnant. Pregnant, do you mean that? She asked quietly. The doctor stopped smiling as if she said something wrong. Yes, I can sense another being's chakra signature growing within you. There was a small anomaly with the chakra but nothing serious. You do have a child, ma'am. Is that all right? May moved her shaking hands to her belly, slowly rubbing the place where her and Naruto's child was growing. May looked up at the nervous doctor and smiled brightly, her eyes closed from the sheer intensity of happiness she was feeling. Yes, I think that's just wonderful. Grass country, cave. Naruto awoke with a start, rising up out of the makeshift bed he had been laid on and already searching for his weapons. He sprung out of the bed covers and took in his surroundings. He immediately noticed that he was in a dark room with a small fire in the middle of it. There was a figure near the fire that appeared to be staring at him with curiosity and amusement in the gaze. Who are you? Naruto demanded. The last thing he remembered was slamming into a tree after his fight with Sasuke. The unknown person slowly stood up and began to chuckle, holding up his hands in a mock defense of the crazed blonde. Now youngster, the old man started, his gravely voice filled the room with a booming affect. There is no need to overreact. I found you hurt in the forest and decided to help you out. Why would you do that? Better yet, how could you have survived my jutsu? Only an Uzumaki could. The man's eyes widened a bit at the sound of Uzumaki, but otherwise his smile led Naruto to believe nothing had happened. Jinchuriki have to stick together, right? Naruto's eyes widened. This man was a jinchuriki. What's your name? What biju do you contain? Naruto's mind was working a mile a minute, trying to process the new information. Roshi decided that it was time for introductions and slowly approached the blonde before holding out his hand for a shake. The fire suddenly intensified its ministrations and the entire cave was now illuminated so Naruto could see his face. My name is Roshi and I contain the four-tailed monkey. And you are? Naruto blushed out of embarrassment, he had been so caught up in surprise he had forgotten his manners. I'm sorry, Naruto shook the older man's hand, my name is Uzumaki Naruto and I contain the 9 tails, but I suppose you already knew that didn't you? Roshi nodded, pointing to his stomach. Old Yonbi here told me where you were and we followed that lava rain you created, nice move by the way. Don't know what happened to the other kid, but your shoulder was a bit beaten up after the last attack so I brought you here. You have been out for the past few hours, it's pretty late in the afternoon now. Damn it Roshi, stop calling me old. I may be stuck inside your old hide but that doesn't mean that you can just loop us together like that. Besides, I haven't encountered an Uzumaki for some time, the branch of monkeys that originate from me would rejoice to know there still are some left in the world. Yeah, you're still much older than me anyways. I have the feeling there is more to this meeting you set up between us, what exactly are you getting at? I want to speak with this boy, to discuss with him an ancient contract that has lain untouched for over 30 years. Ah, you mean the summoning contract? Thought you'd never break the damn thing out, about time is all I have to say. Naruto, my tailed beast would like to speak with you. Come over by the fire and sit down, I'll see if I can bring you into my mindscape. Naruto moved over to the fire and sat down, curious as to how Roshi was going to get him inside of his mind. Roshi sat down across from him and went into deep concentration, his eyes closed and his hands clasped together. After a few moments, Roshi moved his hand and placed a finger over Naruto's forehead and established the link between the two. Now, relax your mind Naruto and follow the pull, he said quietly, instructing Naruto on the way to continue. Naruto closed his eyes and took a few deep breaths to calm himself and slowly began to feel a slight tug on his mind and allowed it to take him to its destination. Roshi's mindscape. Naruto appeared in a similar setting to his own mindscape, a sewer room with 4 large red pipes heading through the wall over the door in front of him. Waiting a moment to see if Roshi would join him, Naruto shrugged and walked up to the door and opened it but was amazed at what was behind it. A large rainforest panned out in front of him, banana trees, ferns and other vegetation littered the landscape as far as the eye could see. Naruto looked up to see an actual sky and sun instead of the dark and dull sewer setting his own mind had. There were no other inhabitants or animal life as far as he could tell but there was a clear-cut dirt path that he decided to follow to find the Yonbi. Walking through the misty and humid greenery, Naruto could hear faint screeches and howls that almost sounded like calls of a monkey. He figured it was just some effect that Yonbi or Roshi added in to add to the atmosphere, he had really done a great job. Man, if Kyuubi saw this he would practically have a temper tantrum. I wonder what his homeland looks like, maybe he is a native of fire. Nearing the end of the path, Naruto came across a large dirt clearing in what he guessed to be the middle of the forest and saw a red giant before him. The Yonbi sat with an enlarged banana that he was chomping on, his attention on it instead of the newly arrived Naruto. A representative image of Roshi was off to the side, waving slightly at Naruto to let him know that he was in the right spot. Ah Naruto, you have arrived. Did you enjoy the scenery? Yonbi described it very vividly and said it would be his cage or he would refuse to help me. So easy to please this one is. The Yonbi threw what was left of the banana skin away and inclined his head to look at Naruto, something that could be considered a grin reached the large monkey's lips. He should recognize it, this is what much of his home island's landscape looks like after all. Well, all the parts that don't have human cities over them anyways, even then the Uzumaki respected and coexisted with the flora and fauna and, the Yonbi continued to prattle on and on, losing track of the original thought. Roshi just hiked a thumb over his shoulder towards the big beast and mocked him. You'll have to forgive the big guy, he is getting to that age. The Yonbi awoke from his rant and snorted, having heard his container's jibe. You reached that age long ago Roshi so don't speak so high and mighty. I mean really, monkeys and humans have totally different age spans, Biju and humans have different age spans. Who are you? Roshi kicked the large primate's leg which was able to get his attention, the older man glared at the beast. Hey, you are losing track of the entire point of the mind meld. Get on with talking to him about the summoning contract already. The Yonbi scratched his head, slightly embarrassed. Alright, I was getting to it damn it. Naruto. The gorilla yelled at the blonde who had somewhat lost most of his attention to the conversation. I would like to know how much you know of your ancestors and of your land. You appear to be a proud Uzumaki bloodline user at least, am I correct? Yes, Yonbi sa. Naruto was interrupted when Yonbi burst out laughing. He held his gut in an attempt to stop laughing so hard. There is no need to call me that. You have earned the right to simply call me Yonbi. Roshi smirked, not wanting to miss the chance to poke fun. Or just, Big Red, or maybe even, Monkey, they're great nicknames. Yonbi glared at his container. Although Roshi still should refer to me as Yonbi-sama. Naruto wanted to laugh at the two's interaction. Kyuubi was not as light-hearted as his brother. Go on Naruto, just ignore Roshi. Well, I know little of my ancestors or the history of my clan unfortunately, for I was not born on the home island or lived a life with my Uzumaki parent. I also never have visited the home island, however my fiancé and I plan on getting married there, so I suppose I will get to see it soon. Yonbi appeared to ponder this, stroking the tuft of hair that covered his chin. Roshi stayed quiet as he leaned up against a tree. You know little of your history and grew up without a mother. Only a true Uzumaki could continue from such adverse beginnings. Good job, lad. Now then, tell me what an infant's intentions like yours are. Naruto was confused. Yonbi, what do you mean, intentions? Yonbi growled a bit in frustration, beating a fist against his chest lightly to get his point across. What you plan to do as an Uzumaki, I mean, I haven't heard of any Uzumaki clan for quite some time, or else I would have had my container march me there immediately. Roshi sighed. He would try to make me go there, probably wouldn't happen though. The Yonbi scoffed and mumbled something about lazy old humans. Well, actually my fiancé, who also happens to be an Uzumaki, has agreed to the idea of trying to bring back the Uzumaki. I haven't really made a concrete plan yet on how to do so, but I hope one day to unite the clan and move back to Azu Island. I'm curious though, what is your link to the Uzumaki, Yonbi? Yonbi chuckled at this. I'm glad you asked, boy, I was just getting around to it. Now, as I'm sure you know, there are many species of monkeys and primates in the world. Some are normal fauna that are unable to interact with humans or their own chakra, while others actively fight alongside humans as summons or sentient beings. The subspecies of monkey that inhabit your island of Azu are indirect descendants of myself, making them sentient and with the ability to manipulate chakra. Before I was sealed away, the Uzumaki had made a pact with me that was a mutual agreement between our two species. We would fight alongside your clan, and in turn your people would not destroy our land or kill any of us. Do you know what this pact is called? Naruto's eyes widened. Could he mean a summoning contract? He all but whispered, too much in doubt to really believe it. Yonbi smiled. The boy was catching on. Yes, a summoning contract. I have it right here. It has not been signed in over 30 years. Now that is a long time, and it has been very disconcerting for me. I always liked your clan, strong and respectful if not a bit old-fashioned. Roshi chuckled. Look who's talking. Shut it, Roshi. Wait, you mean that there really is a subspecies of yourself? Yonbi nodded, seemingly unfazed at how rare it could be. Have you not heard of a monkey summon? Naruto nodded his head. The third Hokage had signed a contract with the Monkey King Enma. Naruto was interrupted by a bellowing howl by the Yonbi, followed by Roshi shaking his head. Just had to say it, didn't you, Naruto? Naruto just looked at him confusedly and shrugged. So that youngster is still ruling the other primates. Ha! I am the true and rightful king of all monkeys, as I'm sure you can figure out quite easily. However, I chose to continue as a roaming biju instead of rule over the primates. Enma was selected as the primary king, but my offspring never bowed to him. They could be considered excommunicated, I suppose. No need to worry, my children are much stronger than anything Enma could offer you, that much is for sure. Sir, if I may ask, since I'm not sure on your specific powers, what are your offspring's special abilities they gained from you? Yonbi smirked, as did Roshi. Naruto, aren't you curious as to how I survived your lava rain? Naruto scratched his head. He didn't really think about that part. I guess so. How? Isn't it obvious, boy? My subspecies of monkey descendants as can myself use lava release. Who else taught your great ancestors? Naruto's eyes widened. The monkeys were the ones who first introduced lava release to the Uzumaki. That's amazing, was all he could say. Yonbi smirked. Yes, it is. Thank you very much. Sometimes I think Roshi takes his jinchuriki abilities for granted. It was Roshi's turn to snort at the comment. Getting back on topic, the summoning contract. Roshi got the big ape back on topic. Oh right, Naruto, would you like to continue the tradition all Uzumaki youth go through to sign the summoning contract? Naruto thought for a moment and then shrugged. Why not? Yes, I would like to earn my right to summon your kind Yonbi. He then bowed his head in respect to the towering beast who was looking at the blonde human in amusement and wonder. Now that's the spirit. I like this boy, I'm glad I told you to meet him, Roshi. Yeah, the challenge. Roshi urged, seemingly used to the old monkey's off-topic trends. Yes, well, Naruto, you must travel deep into the forest and climb up the highest tree you can and find the Akamuzu fruit. It is a native fruit to Azu country and a delicacy for both our species. The fruit itself is a reddish-orange color and shaped vaguely like an apple. You will know when you find it. Now, the challenge should not be very difficult for you considering you are a trained shinobi and a wizened teenager. The test was mainly given to children when they were of age 12 and still academy students. It was much more of a challenge. Good luck, Naruto, we will be right here waiting for you. Naruto played over the description of the fruit and nodded to himself in recognition. He waved off to the two and pushed through the tree-lined foliage in search for the rare fruit. How long do you think it will take him to find it? Roshi and Yonbi watched as he left. Less than 5 minutes, that boy is a natural Uzumaki. This stuff is child's play because of the blood running through his veins. Roshi looked up into the gargantuan eyes of the primate and garnered a cocky smirk. I say over an hour, you ate so many of the damn things before he arrived it will take him forever to find it. We shall see, Roshi. And they were good. Very good. 1 hour later, Naruto collapsed onto the muddy ground in sheer exhaustion. The trek through the mined forest wasn't as productive as he had thought. The search for the Akamuzu fruit was a difficult one indeed because all Naruto saw was brown or green, and then more green. He had tried climbing up the trees but soon realized that it was impossible to use chakra and was forced to climb up the smooth trees with his bare hands, which ultimately failed. Sighing, Naruto looked up into the sky, which was perpetually sunny, and tried to think of a way to find the damn fruit. Feeling a bit of glare from the imaginary sun, Naruto shaded his eyes with his hand and looked to see a branch above him with a single fruit, and it was red. Grinning with anticipation, Naruto sat up and jumped for the branch, only to realize that it was way too far out of his reach. Frustrated, Naruto began to run up the tree and found a handhold, slowly making his way up to the branch. Wow, being a civilian must suck. Climbing trees without chakra. How primitive. Finally reaching the branch, Naruto began to reach for the tantalizing prize. Halfway there, the branch began to wobble from the increased weight being placed on it and forcing Naruto to tighten his grip. 3/4 of the way on the branch was too much and it caused the entire thing to come crashing down to the ground, Naruto included. Hitting the ground with a large thud, the last thing Naruto remembered was a red comet coming straight for his face and a lot of pain. 1 hour later. So, does that count? Naruto asked, nursing his broken nose and holding the bruised fruit with his hand. Roshi and Yonbi looked at one another and nodded, agreeing that it did in fact count. Nice job, Naruto, I knew you could do it. Yes, now I believe it's time for you to sign the contract. Have you signed one before? Naruto nodded. He had signed the Toad contract, although he didn't know if it was still valid. Which one, if I may ask? The Toad contract. The Toads. An interesting choice. Yonbi seemed a bit amused by the strange choice, but Naruto explained. My first mentor made me sign it when he trained me, about the only real technique he taught me. Yonbi nodded a bit. Alright, just sign in blood right here. Yes, perfect. That is some nice handwriting. He uttered. Well, that does it for the mind meld. Anything else you would like to say, oh great Monkey King? Yonbi growled again, not amused by the joke. Good luck, Naruto, I hope to see you again soon. It was pleasure meeting the Uzumaki heir and I hope you bring both our people's glory back to greatness once again. I will, Yonbi, I promise. Grass country, cave. Naruto awoke with a start. The fire had gone out and he could no longer see his surroundings. Getting up, Naruto started to make his way towards a dim light that shone through the cave and saw it to be the cave's mouth where Roshi stood. Naruto noted that the man's eyes were suspiciously shifting back and forth, as if he were watching for something or someone. Noticing Naruto walk up, Roshi greeted the boy with an uneasy wave and a half-hearted smile. Well, Naruto, I think you are all better. From what I remember, you said that you have a fiancé and I don't think she will like you waiting around forever now, do you? Naruto nodded, agreeing with that decision. The last time he had run off from Mei, she had beaten him to a pulp in the hospital. Yeah, I suppose you're right. I'll go get my gear and then I can leave. Naruto ran back into the cave and using a simple fire jutsu was able to illuminate the area and find his vest and pouches and his greatsword. Alright, I'm ready to head on back to Kiri. Oh, before I forget. Naruto dug into his kunai pouch and handed a three-pronged kunai to Roshi, who took it confusedly. The Yondaime Hokage's kunai. You must be his son, you look very much like him. Naruto nodded and smiled, scratching the back of his head. In case you are in trouble or Akatsuki comes your way, just throw the kunai into the ground or a tree and I'll come back. Roshi stiffened at the sound of Akatsuki but otherwise just nodded and smiled. Alright Naruto, you better get going, I hope we get to meet again someday. Naruto was a bit curious as to why the old man was trying to get rid of him but played it off as him wanting to leave as well. See ya Roshi, Naruto said with a wave before he disappeared in a yellow flash, leaving Roshi to deal with the new arrivals. Konoha, Hokage-sama, Team Kakashi has arrived at the gates. It looks like they came back empty-handed. Shizune reported to an irate Tsunade. Damn, this complicates things. She quietly brooded until Yamato's group arrived in front of her for debriefing. Report, she ordered tersely. Mom, we have some news for you. Grass country. Ah, look here Itachi. The 4 tails is here and the 9 tails just left, 2 beasts in the bag for us today. Kisame yelled out. The 2 had arrived in the clearing in front of the cave just after Naruto had left in a yellow flash. Roshi glared at the 2 and took a few steps forward, holding both hands in front of him in a defensive measure. You'll have to go through me before you get to Naruto. Itachi looked at Kisame and then back to Roshi. Now Kisame, we should take our time. I don't believe we will be able to catch up to Naruto so quickly, the jutsu he used is a very advanced one indeed. Kisame scoffed and took off Samehada from his back, preparing for battle. I call dibs on this one Itachi, just stand back and watch. Itachi just took a few steps back to allow the 2 fighters their dueling arena. Roshi looked at the kunai in his hands, having an internal struggle with himself. If I throw it, Naruto and I could try to defeat both of them together. If I don't, Naruto will live to fight another day and I will be taken and killed for my Biju. I'm not sure if Naruto can handle these 2, even with my and our Biju's help, it might be best to just not call for help. We must keep that boy alive, he has a destiny to fulfill, I could sense it. You are pretty loyal to the Uzumaki, aren't you Yonbi? It's not just that, I think Naruto has a future worth seeing. One you are willing to sacrifice yourself for. Damn right I am willing. If we can break a few limbs on our way to hell, then we are in agreement. Taking one last look at the wonderful craftsmanship of the blade, Roshi threw it up into the air in front of his face and shot a single lava bullet at it, effectively destroying his distress beacon. By destroying it, I can stop Akatsuki from using it against Naruto. Huh, I wonder why he did that. Kisame mumbled, not understanding the weapon or the jutsu behind it. Well, are you ready then? Roshi called out, pulling out his custom-made curved kunai that he used. Kisame smirked and started running towards the bearded man, intent on taking the delicious 4 tails chakra. Roshi smiled, even he knew he could not win this battle against the 2 opponents. He was buying time that gave Naruto a chance to escape. Good luck Naruto, I know that you have a great future coming. I only wish I could live to see it. Kirigakure, Uzumaki Terumi Estate. Naruto arrived at the gate and had suddenly had an ominous feeling in his chest, as if something horrible just happened. Patting himself lightly, Naruto tried to get past the sinking feeling and opened the doors to his estate, the time being late evening and Kiri and his Mei should be home. Looking in on the living room first, he saw Mei just sitting there and staring at her stomach. Confused as to why she was paying so much attention to it, Naruto knocked on the wall and got her attention towards him. She began to smile but she looked very hesitant. Hello Mei, I'm home. He said simply, waiting to get chewed out by his fiancée. Hello Naruto-kun, welcome back. She replied, patting the couch next to her. Naruto gulped and went to sit down next to her, moving his arm over her shoulders and bringing her close for a kiss. Naruto, I have some news. Naruto was intrigued. He looked into her eyes and saw them trembling. What's the news? Did something happen while I was away? She nodded, taking his hand and moved it over her stomach. Confused by the action, Naruto tried tickling her and got a giggle before she slapped his hand playfully to stop. Naruto, I'm pregnant. His eyes widened. Pregnant. Pregnant. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.